All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the first episode of the Hoops and Dreams podcast. I'm
Yes.
one of your hosts, Mark.
And I'm your host, Nkem.
Yep, and for this podcast specifically, just to give a little rundown on what we're going to be doing, what you guys can look forward to going forward, we're going to be doing weekly episodes, anything basketball related, whether it's the NBA, WNBA, college, anything, whether it could even be sneakers related, all of that stuff, we're going to talk about it here. So if y'all are into that, then 100% feel free, subscribe, follow us on this. And just to give a little rundown, me and Nkem have been working together for a minute now. We go back before COVID,
Yes.
and we're doing For the Love of Girls basketball. So,
Yeah.
Nkem, if you want to go ahead, take the lead, talk about all of that, since that's your baby right there.
My
So, go
baby.
ahead.
All right, so basically, For the Love of Basketball is a girls' like one-stop shop. It's almost like an academy where young females can come learn the game of basketball, get some basketball IQ, and just kind of develop and grow into whatever style basketball player they choose to be. Whether it's just playing for fun, working to play to get on their school teams, whether it's middle school, high school, and then also for opportunity to go away and play college basketball. So, we create a bunch of fun programs from beginners, just kind of introducing the game of basketball in a fun way to, yeah, getting down and dirty, and evolving and working on those skill sets as, you grow as a basketball player. And I mean, I know it's a girls program, but we do have boys that, participate as well. We believe that there is, that basketball has no gender and that this is a place where everybody can learn and grow as a basketball player. So yeah, I know we talk about girls, but fellas, you're more than welcome to come hang with us on the basketball court. So yeah, that's pretty much sums up what the program's all about. So if you're interested, let me know. Hit me up, send me a message. You can also go to our website, fortheloveofbasketball.org, and you can learn a little bit more about what we've been doing and what we plan on doing in the future.
Yeah, so before COVID, we got a lot of things popping off. And just for everyone's reference, I'm located in the Bay Area. We did a lot of things in the Bay Area prior to COVID. And Cam's back in the East Coast, I believe the Washington, the DMV area.
Yep, I'm in the
So,
DMV. Trying to
yep,
get things growing, and hopefully we can do a battle of the coast. That's
there
our
you
ultimate
go.
goal. Our
There
ultimate
you go.
goal. I love the West Coast. I'm an East Coast baby, and it would be amazing for these kids to also experience the things that I experienced while I was in the Bay Area. I was out there for 10 years. It's an amazing place. It's like my second home. So the goal is to get things going on both ends and to be able to kind of compete and just network and meet people from that have similar backgrounds, meaning they love the game, the sport, but also being able to see our differences coming from different sides of pretty much different sides of the
Yeah.
world for us.
Yeah. No, 100%. I think that's, I don't know if you watched it recently, but they have the Olympic documentary that came out on Netflix. I don't know if you had a chance to watch that,
No, I haven't.
but they recapped it with the most recent Olympic run, right? And there was clips of Kevin Durant, and I think it was super dope because he kind of got a little emotional at one point when he was talking about it, and it was just off the simplicity of, hey, we're all coming together just to play basketball.
Hmm.
He's like, that's a beautiful thing. Like we're just, it's a ball, we're putting it in a basket, as simple as it is. And hey, it's bringing communities together. People love it. You find friends, everything through basketball, and it's one of those things where it's like, as simple as it is, it's such a wonderful thing that honestly, being spoiled to be able to, and blessed to be able to play it, cover it, do anything when it comes to basketball, just because, wow,
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think sports for me has given me an opportunity to, travel, the nation, been able to meet amazing people. Shoot, me and you, Mark, we
Yeah,
were we
yeah,
wouldn't have been connected if it wasn't for
yeah,
basketball. So I love how sports kind of unifies us, brings us from different backgrounds, and
yeah.
we can come together, like I said from before, and just understand each other's differences as well as similarities. And so, yeah, that's what sports is all about.
Yeah,
Like, well,
yeah,
so I'm excited to see, where this podcast is going to take us, and
yeah,
the opportunities that we're going to have for our youth.
yeah. 100%. So if y'all in the Bay Area or if y'all in the DMV area, check us out. Be on the lookout for that, especially if y'all have your daughters and stuff like that who's hooping, who has aspirations and stuff, or like Nkem said, just want to have fun.
Bring
Bring
them
them
over here.
over. You know what I'm saying? We'll take care of them. We'll take care
Yes,
of them for sure.
yes,
They're gonna have a great
sure.
time. But let's get right into it, right? So one of the things we want to talk about for today's episode, the first episode, the NBA playoffs. The NBA playoffs are going on right now, and man, it's been one hell of a first round so far. A couple series has ended. Do you have any initial thoughts on any series or anything like that that you've kind of had your eye on, or anything that's really been cool to see for you?
Um, I mean, I think for me, the Lakers. I mean, I'm a LeBron fan, and I think that with him getting a little older,
A
just
little,
watching their style of play and watching like LeBron kind of just transition into what I call like older man basketball, where he's not really attacking as much. He's just, you know, more of like a perimeter shooter and more of like um the word I'm looking for is a contributing player. He scores when he needs to, but he's really from what I've been watching this series, he's really like getting his teammates involved. I mean, he's still handling his business. Like, don't get it
oh,
twisted, but
LeBron
you
is
can just
off.
tell that, he's getting older, and,
Yeah,
that that he has is kind of slowing up a little bit. So I'm really curious to see how that's gonna look,
yeah.
throughout the series.
Minnesota up 3-1 right now. You think Minnesota's gonna close out for that one?
I'll be honest. Yes.
Yeah,
Everyone's just doing his thing. Like, you can't be mad. Like,
man.
the youngins are hungry. They're ambitious,
Yeah,
and he was close last year. And so, I mean, I think when you want it bad, you don't care who
yeah,
you're facing, and he's a dog.
yeah. Oh,
He's
a
a dog.
dog. Yeah, a dog for sure.
So yeah, he's definitely carrying his team, and he's been giving
Both
LeBron
sides of the court.
business. Yeah, like, I mean, Minnesota's a great team. So,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing them in the finals.
Not over my Warriors. That's not happening.
Oh
Not
God,
over
here
my
we
Warriors.
go.
Come on
They've
now.
had enough. They've
Come
had
on.
enough
Nah,
championship.
nah, nah, nah. I'm greedy. I'm greedy and Cam. If we can get another one, two, three, four, whatever it is, I'm taking it as much as I can at this point. But what's cool about that Minnesota Lakers series, and I think the whole playoffs in general, where a big topic of the playoffs right now is the physicality, right?
Yeah,
And how much the refs are really allowing teams in general. It's definitely not a one-sided thing. Just everyone's able to, hey, you want a hand check, hug, put two
yeah,
hands on somebody,
and that's
tackle
not
people.
normal. Yeah,
You know what
normally
I mean?
the refs are they brought blood. They got the whistle glued to their lips. So the fact
Man,
that they're letting them play, it's kind of giving me like old school
yeah,
NBA. And
yeah,
and
like
that's what makes the game fun. I think that
100%.
when you put all those ticky tacky rules in place, it doesn't give the players enough. It doesn't give them
Yeah,
an opportunity to really play. And the
hmm,
game is meant to be a contact sport. So
yeah,
the fact that they're letting them like, yeah, get in now, it's like, yeah,
yeah,
who's gonna scrap and get this W? So I think
yeah,
that, yeah, I'm excited that the refs are, putting down the damn
yeah,
whistle,
yeah.
and letting them play.
It's definitely interesting to see. It's definitely you see it, the adjustment that these players are trying to make from the regular season to the playoffs. Everyone always knows regular season playoffs it always gets physical, right? But
Hmm.
this year specifically, they're definitely swallowing the whistle, right? So you're seeing that adjustment. We're like, oh dang, all right, well this is straight hoops now, right? It's like you're
Yeah,
playing one on
the
one with your
grass out.
homeboy or something like that, and it's just
Hmm.
like, hey, there's no referee out here. We're not. You about
No
to call this foul,
crying.
or am I going to call it?
Yeah,
I'm not calling it.
exactly.
You know what
Drop
I
the
mean?
ball in
And
the
then
bucket.
you see the clips of like Anthony Edwards, right? Going back to that Minnesota Lakers matchup where Anthony Edwards is guarding LeBron, putting two hands on him, pushing him to the baseline, and making sure he's out of the play, constantly just putting contact on him.
Hmm.
And I mean, I see it for sure with the Warriors and the Rockets. That has been.
There's been a
Steph
heavy.
said it himself. I don't know if you've seen it. Steph said it himself. He said this is the ugliest series I've ever played in my career.
Yeah, but
And
I think it's the best. That's what
yeah,
makes, you know, series like that, like the go like the series that you go back to, in 5, 10, 15 years ago and be like, oh, these are,
yeah,
top series, that I wanted to watch that was like the most influential in the game of,
yeah,
basketball. So I think that it's needed,
100%.
it's definitely the NBA has definitely softened up a lot
Oh yeah,
over, the last couple decades. So to be able to, watch some old school like 90s, early 2000,
yeah,
NBA basketball, that's my thing. That's what I like to watch.
yeah. And it's dope because then you see like I'm gonna keep going back to the Warriors because that's my
You
team.
know, you love your Warriors.
The Warriors gonna get that chip this year, man. I'm high on that. If not, then you know what I'm saying, we got next year. But the physicality of it is cool because then the intensity ramps up so much, and it's hard not to be physical,
Yeah.
right? So like seeing how physical teams are getting and how much they're allowing is cool because it shows how much these players really care. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It shows the intensity ramps up not just because hey I'm trying to stop you. It's like hey I'm trying to prove something.
Yeah.
I'm in the playoffs for a reason. So they gonna allow this. I'm gonna do it. You
Yeah.
know.
And also I
So,
think because like the Bay, go back to the Bay, like the fan base in the Bay is so crazy. And so,
yeah,
the more physical you play, the more amped, the more hype, the fans
yeah,
are, which also I think helps, you know, with their game as well. Because of course, if you have a good fan base and they're cheering you
yeah,
on and they're, going crazy, because of the style of play that you have,
yeah,
it's gonna want you to play. It's gonna make you want to play better, and definitely get the W for your fans.
yeah.
And I'm not gonna play. The Bay is they are die hard
Yeah.
Warrior fans. So yeah,
Crazy
yeah, yeah,
lunatic.
yeah. So the opportunity for them to witness the playoffs and the style of play. I think that goes hand in hand as well. So yeah, I'm excited. The Warriors are gonna win that series for sure. Yeah, I'm already putting it out
Close it
there.
out Wednesday. Close it
Yep.
out
And look,
Wednesday.
I can't speak. I've adapted and become a Warriors fan over the last decade. But I'm always a home team. But my Wizards, they're not doing anything. So
Look at
second team to
manageable.
root for Warriors for sure.
Shout out Jordan Poole. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Jordan Poole. That's the thing. When it comes to like sports in general, Bay Area sports, diehard fans. You know what I'm saying? So like seeing it now with the playoffs is dope to see, especially now that the Warriors are in Chase Center in San Francisco. It's kind of been obviously different than Oakland being in Oracle.
Yeah,
So
way
kind of having the
different.
playoffs now, being a little bit more serious and competitive, seeing the fans really come out and kind of almost try to replicate how it was in Oracle is kind of dope to see. You know what I
You can
mean?
never replicate. You
No,
can never
never.
replicate. Let's
Nah,
get that straight,
nah.
okay? Oh, the town is where it was at,
100%.
but I still got love for the city and what they're doing over there. But yeah, man, when
Yeah.
I tell you the game nights in Oakland used to
Oh,
be
bracket,
crazy,
bracket.
crazy. But yeah, it's not the same, but it's still the same love. So,
Yeah. No,
shout
100%.
out, shout out to Golden State, the Warriors. They
No, for
definitely doing their
sure.
thing.
So who do you have for the playoffs so far from what you've seen from all the matchups so far in the teams? I think the Celtics are up 3-1. I think the Cavs just closed out. They swept. I think Denver and the Clippers are 2-2. Minnesota's up 3-1. Warriors up 3-1. Out of all these matchups, who do you think's coming out of each coast? Who's coming out the East? Who's coming
Man,
out the West? Who do you think?
you know, it's hard because,
It's tough.
yeah, I don't know. Minnesota for sure. I don't
What is it
know.
about Minnesota? What is it about Minnesota
I just feel like
that
they're
you're so
young.
high on?
I just feel like they're young. They're ambitious. Anthony Edwards, he's a beast. He's a dog. Like,
Yeah, one of
he
them
got that
ones.
dog in him.
One of
Yeah,
them
and
ones.
like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like last year they were really close, and their team unity is crazy,
Yeah.
and they work on both ends. I'm more fundamental. So just like as a fan and as a coach, I like teams that work on both sides of the court,
Yep.
defensively and offensively, and I just think that they're a more defensively sound team than some of the other teams that they're facing, and I think that's what's going to push you further through the playoffs and hopefully into the finals. And so I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I like also like underdog teams, even though wouldn't really consider them an underdog team, but I don't know. They seem to be the team that, for
Yeah.
me,
I
they're gonna
definitely
get.
think they were slept on a little bit throughout the year because they went through their slumps, you know what I
Mhm.
mean? And they really, like a lot of the West Coast teams, Western Conference teams, they really pulled it together at the end. That gauntlet at the end of the season for the Western Conference was crazy to see who's gonna make it out the top six, and get out of that play-in tournament
Mhm.
was insane. So I think a lot of the Western Conference teams were playing at extremely high levels going into the playoffs. So that was cool to see, just to see the competitiveness and to see how close it really is for all the teams, especially on the West Coast. I think a lot of the teams are really close, and you could really make an argument for honestly any team in the West Coast right now. What about the East Coast for you? Who do you think in
Um,
the Eastern Conference is going to
no,
come?
no. I there's like a couple good teams. Bucks are on the east, right? Bucks.
Yeah, they about to lose.
Yeah.
Hey, hey, before we get into it, we were talking about Oakland. Hey, I feel so bad for
I
Dame.
think it's
Dame
over.
Dalla. Oh man, I I
But I
feel
mean,
so
he
bad
got
for
his shit.
Dame.
But I know, one's not enough. But
Nah,
the Bucks. I don't know. I mean, not the Bucks. The Pacers. They're doing their thing. I don't know. I don't know. It could be honestly on the East Coast. It could be any of those teams. To be
do
honest,
you believe in the Cavs?
I think
They came out number one seed.
I
Playing
believe.
really well.
Yeah,
Former NBA coach is their head coach now. You know what I'm saying? So there's a reason why they're winning so much.
yeah, I mean, definitely. And last year they were killing it too. And the beginning of this year, weren't they like undefeated for the first?
Yeah,
I want to
they
say,
went on crazy runs throughout
yeah,
the
I want
year.
to say like the first like couple or maybe 3 months. I'm not sure. Don't quote
Yeah,
me on it, but I know they had a
yeah,
nice little run. In the
crazy
beginning of the
runs.
year. I mean, I think Oh, sorry. The Caps definitely will be one of the teams in the Eastern Conference Finals for sure. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I don't know. I don't know. It could go anywhere, any which way, but definitely Cavs. I'll see them in the finals. Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm not really big on. I've been on the West Coast for so long. I kind of kind of forgot. Kind of forgot about the teams on there.
no.
Let me
Yeah,
see. Let me look it up. We
I'm not
got
gonna lie. For me, for the East Coast, like
and
I
we have
think the Cavs play really well. I think they are coached really well, and I love the backcourt and front court is such an interesting dynamic for them, just because they got such a big front court and such a skilled backcourt. You got Garland and you got Donovan Mitchell.
yeah. Donovan. He
And then
been
you
doing
have Evan Mobley just won Defensive Player of the Year. You still got who's it, Jared Allen and stuff like that. So it's like they're huge and they're extremely skilled in the backcourt.
true.
But my only thing is that like experience matters in the
I was say
playoffs.
Boston just won it
Boston just won, yeah.
last year, so and they're making a run this year too. So
Yeah. As long as
yeah.
they can stay healthy, I got Boston coming out the
Yeah,
East.
I almost forgot about them. I don't know how. I'm like, yeah, but Boston, they're definitely coming back to try to get a repeat.
Yeah.
Get that thing back to back. So if I have to go with anybody, definitely going to see those two. I don't know if they're going to
Of
play each other,
course.
but are they going to meet in the? Can they meet in the
Um
finals?
they are
Or are
the
they in
one
different
and two seed,
brackets?
so I think if they do meet, it would be in the conference
Yeah, I was
finals.
gonna say, yeah, I believe they would be in the conference finals. So that would be a good matchup. We'll see how that
That would
goes.
be a crazy matchup. But yeah, for me, I think I have the Celtics just because the pedigree. I think
Yeah,
just experience. I think the Cavs are there. I think they're really good. I think they got to be there a little bit more to really understand how to win at that level.
but sometimes when you're hungry and you got that dog in you, I
Yeah,
don't know,
Warriors
'cause
2015. You know
it's
what
a
I mean?
series. Yeah, it's not like one and
Yeah,
done.
yeah,
Where so it's a series and it could go any which way, like you
yeah,
said, and just making sure. Boston tends to be a little injury prone. So just making
Yeah.
sure they stay
Tatum
healthy.
already missed one of the games this in the
Yeah,
first round. So
that's what I'm saying. So, it could go either way, but definitely seeing like Cleveland and Boston for sure.
yeah, yeah, they're on a crash course. If they win out their round one, round two, they would play against each other for the conference finals for a chance to
Yeah,
get
I
to
would
the
say I
final.
know they're in different brackets. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think I for sure have not for sure, but like I think I'm pretty confident with the Celtics, barring any major injuries to come out the East. The West Coast for me, I know you're big on the Timberwolves, and you pointed out defense. I'm biased. I know that 100%. No one can tell me otherwise. But the Warriors coming out the West Coast, I don't care what anybody says. We want to talk about defense, right? We want to talk about defense. Jimmy Butler, since he's gone on the Warriors, has been the number one defensive team since he got on the team.
But did he just get injured? Did I miss that? I thought he
Yeah,
was
he had a deep butt contusion.
yeah,
This is what they call
booty.
it. Yeah, he got a sprained booty.
Yeah, sprained booty. So
But he
he's
played
not out.
last game.
But he
He
played last
played.
game.
He
Okay.
played game four, dropped 26 points, was clutch. You know what I'm saying?
I think that was a great
So
addition getting him.
100%.
Whoever worked that out, they were very smart because
Mm-hmm.
he was kind
Mm-hmm.
of suffering out in Miami. He was in Miami, right? Yeah, he was
Yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah,
They were doing
yeah,
him dirty. So
yeah. He
it's
wanted to
good
get
to go
paid.
on.
He wanted to get
Yeah,
paid.
yeah, it's good to be on a team where you
Feel
don't have
valued.
to worry so much about being the number one role player. You can just kind of do your thing,
Yeah.
because the team is full of all stars, and so you can
Yeah.
spread the wealth, and so I think that takes like a little pressure off of you, knowing that
Yeah.
like I'm surrounded by future Hall of Famers. Shoot, some of them already in my eyes already Hall of
Man,
Famers.
man,
Um,
put
you
him in
know,
there.
and then they have the experience because
Yeah.
they've won several chips, and they've gone through the playoff run, so they just have they're more poised, in how and calculated how they are going to execute each game. So I think Jimmy being an addition, also like Gary Payton, I saw him playing. Yeah,
Ooh,
man, they know what
man,
they're doing because he's
man.
a dog. He comes from
He's so smart.
another Bay Area legend. You
Yeah.
know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And you could tell he just like I said, he's hungry. He wants it bad, and he's definitely a great role player. And I tell people all
Yeah.
the time, like, there's no I in team.
Mm-mm.
You can be the number one scorer all season, and other individuals will come in and be able to execute. And I think there's like people like Gary Payton,
Yeah.
you know, Junior. I guess the third. Was he the
The
third?
second.
The second. The
The
second.
second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Gary.
I think you said it. I think you said it great. I think you said it perfectly. I think a lot of people want to be the number one. I think a lot of people want to be that person on the team. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody can be that,
Yeah.
and that's not a bad thing to be not the number one. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You get the GPs who are just extremely cerebral and just understand schemes in the games and where they have to be and just the feel for the game, the fundamentals. You have all
Mhm.
that secure, you have enough experience, and you put it all together. You could be extremely effective in anything you do. Whether that
Absolutely.
be as a role player, whatever it is. You know what I mean? So GP2 is definitely an embodiment of that. And he's old. He bounced around the
Yeah,
league,
listen,
found his home in the
old.
Warriors.
Don't say he's old.
Oh,
Yo,
yeah,
I
my
thought
bad. Yeah.
being old.
In
He-
NBA terms, in
yeah,
NBA terms.
he's been in the league for a minute.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm biased, so I for sure have the Warriors coming out the West Coast.
Well, who do you have for
Obviously
the West Coast Finals though? Warriors
West
and
Coast
who?
Finals. I think the Nuggets Clipper series is tough. That's gonna be tough to come out of. Thunder already cleaned up, so they're just waiting for whoever wins that series. So I think it's gonna be Thunder Warriors conference finals.
Man, that would
Yeah,
be.
the Thunder
If
just
it's
have
not the Warriors, it's over. The Warriors are gonna win that for sure. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah. There you go. There you go. There
Yeah,
you go.
that's
Warriors 100%, 100% for me. Um, but anything else for in terms of NBA playoffs that you wanted to touch on?
No, I think we're cool as far as NBA playoffs. We'll see, how things run.
Yep.
This series, and then leading into
Round
second
two.
series, yeah, and then eventually the finals, and so there's plenty more basketball to come. You know,
Yep.
this is only the first round, so yeah,
Yep.
I'm excited to see.
100%. Me too. Warriors close it out tomorrow or Wednesday.
Wednesday.
But you mentioned that you wanted to talk about this, and I think it touches on not the most basketball related thing, but it is related to sports and is something we can talk about and is honestly a big topic right now. Shedeur Sanders,
Absolutely,
nepotism in sports.
yeah.
It was a huge topic this year with the NBA when it comes to Bronny. So, what do you want to talk about specifically? I know Sanders was the biggest example so far, at least recently.
Yeah, well, before we even talk about Sanders, I just want to talk about just, I think that we're like in a space now where I don't think there's anything wrong with being like a Nepo baby. I think that
Mm-mm.
like that's the point of like, as a parent, you want to put your kids in positions where they don't have to struggle like how you struggled,
Yeah.
you know? And, you know, if they have the skill set and you have, I mean, I think this is something that has been done, you know, since the beginning of time. Like, you know, like, hey, you know, you talk to your buddy that is in a position that can help, you know, your kid out, you know, coming out of school, you know, like, hey, my kid needs a job, you know, and you have a plug, you have somebody that, you know, you've built relationships with, you've networked with, they know you in your character, and they know who you know who your child is, and they give them that opportunity. I mean, I think that that's life. It's the same way as if, you know, I went away to school, or I, you know, I met somebody, and down the road we connect later on, and opportunities come from that. So I don't think there's anything wrong with like being a nepo baby. I'm not gonna lie, I have a daughter, and if I can give her, you know, opportunities and connect her with people to help guide her where she wants to be, absolutely I'm gonna do it. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it. You know?
100%.
So to like bring it back to like, you know, LeBron and now Dion with his sons, I think that, you know, a lot of times, you know, I don't like to throw race and nothing like that in there, but I think that a lot of times that, you know, people get upset when we're playing the game the same way that the game has always been played. And I,
Yep.
you know, and a prime example is like with LeBron and his son. LeBron Jr. is a great basketball player. Like if you go and compare him to
Yeah.
other players that were drafted on his level, you know, I think he was, I don't even know what, I think he was like, I don't even know exact number, his draft number, but you know, when you look at people that are like in the G League, he was killing it in the G League. I mean, I say baby because to me they're all babies,
He's a
but
baby.
yeah, the baby's like he was like 19, the baby 20. Like, come on, like,
Yeah.
you know, I tell people this all the time. Like, Kobe came into the league, come straight out of high school. He didn't just jump into the league and just start playing and make
Yeah.
it dominating. No, it took him some years to really get where he needed to be and develop skill wise. You know, but people don't talk about that. They only talk about how great Kobe was, you know, once he started, you know, dominating. But I remember watching Kobe. I remember watching him at the All-Star game with the Bush, you know, and he's shooting air balls. Like I
Yeah.
remember that. I remember, you know, and so if LeBron, one, he wants to play with his son, which I mean, who wouldn't want that? I would want, you know, to raise,
100%.
go into the league, dominate, you know, for years, and then have my son, you know, come into the league so we could do a father-son duo. Absolutely, I would do
Yeah.
that in a minute, you know, and then, you know, giving him the opportunity to grow. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Watch Bronny. First of all, Bronny's jersey sales are crazy. So obviously the fans love,
Yeah.
they love him. Whether
Yeah.
you think he's a great NBA player or not, you haven't even given this man a chance.
Yeah.
You know, but obviously the world, because basketball, especially on the NBA level, it is a fan based sport. It's a business, a profitable business. And so ultimately the goal is to bring people into, you know, the gym to, you
Yep.
know, to sell tickets. And so Bronny has that opportunity. He can do that. People love him, you know, and he's really he's not a bad basketball
Good
player.
kid.
Yeah,
Good kid.
you could tell
Good
that
player.
he's working in the gym. It's not like he's one of these Nepo babies that are like, oh, whatever. Like, yeah, I already
Yeah.
got in here. I don't have to do nothing, Nah,
Yeah.
the dude really is hungry. He wants this. He
Yeah.
wants to play, and he's allowing himself, he's not rushing into things, and he's allowing himself to do his thing. Then to bring it back to Dion, I think that
Before you get on to Dion,
yeah,
I do want to talk about the Bronny stuff. I have no problem when it comes to nepotism, especially in sports,
thank you.
especially if you're a player. Because if you have a son or a daughter, whoever it may be, your child, who isn't putting the work in, they're not even going to be considered.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? And don't get it twisted, y'all. Bronny James was an All-American in high school.
Thank you.
He wasn't a scrub. I think he had a heart condition in college. You want him to come off after that and have a crazy college year? No. But
Exactly.
he came out of high school ranked. He came out of high school, obviously,
All
All-American.
American. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Doing his thing.
he's not a scrub. And obviously it shows because he was doing really well in the G League and everything.
And you can't compare him to his dad. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Like,
You can't compare anyone to him.
thank
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and when it comes to nepotism, I hate, you touched on it too, right? I hate when people try to push it on and it's like, oh, LeBron and his son, just because we see it, right? You look at every single front office in any major sporting organization, nepotism is running rampant.
Rampant.
Who's the GMs? Who's under them? Their children.
Thank you.
People are mad that the GMs suck and they're not doing well for the organization and not helping the team win. Well, guess what? It's gonna keep happening because they got their children doing it too. So if y'all want to be mad, look at that too and be mad at that. We don't see it because they're not in the front,
in the
we don't see 'em
forefront.
playing.
Exactly.
But hey, in the organizations, nepotism is running crazy as well.
Yeah, and even in the league, there are a lot of kids that what's his name? What is his name? Walton. I think he's he used to be the Lakers. What is his name? I'm gonna pull up the list. Don't worry. I'll pull up the list of all the nepos, the nepo babies that have come in after their father has played in the league, and they've come in, and I'm sure that their fathers have talked to GMs and given them opportunities to slide in and play the game. We were just talking about Gary Payton the third or the second. I don't know why I was in second. God, I don't know why I keep saying. I don't know why I keep saying that. We were just talking about him, but if his father wasn't who he was, I don't know. Would he, be the player that he is today? A lot of opportunities come from the path that that their fathers have laid down for them. Even Bobo, like, what I'm saying? Like, I'm serious. There are a lot of players that
in the league. Damn.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to be in the league. He definitely does, but his name being Bobo carries a lot of weight. His father, did a lot. In his time in the NBA. So it's a lot of them.
And going back to the front office, if I was I'm not mad at them.
No,
you know what I mean. If I was a GM or someone, and I can get my kid into a position here too, I'm 100% doing that as well. And I don't care what anybody says. You're lying out your teeth if you say you wouldn't do the same thing. Because 100% you would, and if not, then we got bigger problems.
Yeah, then what are you doing? Because if you're not setting your kids up for greatness, then you're failing as parents. That's just how I feel. Like, you want your children to be better than you. That's how you continue to continue to grow the legacy. So I definitely, like I said, if I have an opportunity, I'm sliding Lex right into 100%. Certain opportunities whenever whenever they become available, for sure. If I have networks, I'm definitely hey, my baby, why not? Why not? I want my babies to win. And that goes for, and I tell kids that too, just bringing it back, because you might not have a parent that has those connections, but I always tell these kids, it's good to connect with your coaches, and the staff, because you never know when you have to go back You never know who your coaches know that will plug you.
Exactly.
Even some of these kids, when they're like, oh, coach, I want to play D1, a lot of this is not about your talent. Though, yes, you have to be talented, but everybody on that level is talented.
Yeah.
It's about who you know, your connections, and who your coaches and your network can connect with to get you those opportunities. So it's not even like we're talking about Nepo babies, but you could be I guess you could call it like a Nepo step baby. You can
There you go. That's a new term. That's a new
you
term.
can
Yeah.
get the same advantages from just being close to your coaches and having a strong networking team. So
Yeah.
I tell the kids that all the time, like, yeah, you might be the first generation a basketball player in your family, but the coaches that you've been working with, they've been doing this for a long time. You don't know
Yeah.
who they know.
Yeah.
Don't you know you know play nice, play the game, because this world is a big game.
Yeah.
And give yourself an opportunity. Allow your coaches to plug you in as well.
Yeah.
Don't feel like you got to do things by yourself.
Yeah. I think that's the beautiful thing that we talked about in the beginning too, with how simple it is for basketball. It just connects everybody. You don't know who you're gonna run into. You don't know who you're
Facts.
gonna meet through basketball. And if we
Right.
want to call it nepotism and call it it's a bad thing, no, it's just sporting stuff in general. You're gonna meet people, you're gonna connect with people, and if that leads to other things, that's life, and that's
Facts.
what we strive to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
So not
Yeah.
mad at it at all. Not
No, me
mad at
neither.
it at all.
Yeah, I think that's the game. We talk about sports. If you got to execute a plan, you have to make a plan. Practice and then execute. And it's the same thing with outside opportunities. You got to come up with a plan, figure out who can help you execute that plan, and then you make it happen.
Yep.
So
Still
I
gotta
don't
work
think.
towards it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, now some people are just given that. They're given that silver spoon to do and they might take advantage of that. But if you know that you don't come from that background, or you really are hungry and ambitious for whatever it is, you take that opportunity and you run with it. And you don't take and never take it for granted. You'll go a long way. Trust me,
Yep.
you'll go a long way.
Yep. And then circling back, you wanna mention what you were talking about with the Sanders family?
Yeah, I think so. Shout out to Dion and what he's doing with his boys and his
Yeah.
girls. I think that a lot of times in our family dynamic, we don't really see like a strong black father figure. Especially like the stories that you hear from like professional athletes. And so I think that Dion has a background. He's done this before, and he's really setting up not just his sons, because I watched his transition from Jackson State, and over
Yeah.
to Colorado, and his coaching methods are all the same. It's love.
Yep.
He wants to instill education and being a businessman.
Professionalism.
Yeah, professionalism, and being a businessman, and understanding what you're getting yourself into, and getting the best out of the opportunity. And I think that when it came to his sons, you know like I said, this is a business. Sports is one thing, but there's a whole business side to this as well. And I think that when you have that strong person in your background, you can't be manipulated. And I think that that's like one thing that happened with Shador. Now, is Shador super amazing phenom quarterback? But he's an amazing quarterback. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, don't get it twisted. Like, hey,
Yeah.
if you line him up with his peers, he's definitely top 5.
He should be
But
drafted.
absolutely should have been drafted the first round. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous. But I think sometimes people try to send a message, and sometimes people feel like you're cocky, or they take your confidence as being cocky.
Yeah.
And sometimes we talk about Nepo, there's the plus side about it, and then there's the not so good side about being a Nepo baby, because Dion dominated Prime time. What? Come
Prime
on now.
time.
I still be doing this little shuffle.
Yeah.
I still do his shuffle.
Yeah.
When I'm winning. When I score and one, because that's how influential this man was in the 90s. In the late
Yeah.
80s, early 90s. And did he rub some people the wrong way? I'm pretty sure he did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. 100%.
Are his sons paying for that? Absolutely. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, but there's nothing wrong, and this is to anyone who's an athlete, there's nothing wrong with being confident, knowing who you are, you know what I'm saying, and not letting anybody, cut you at the knees and tell you, oh, you're only this, you're only that. No, nobody knows. Like, there's a lot of great quarterbacks, there's a lot of great athletes that weren't even drafted at all, that came
Yeah.
on, signed on afterwards, and are now Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
So nobody can tell you who you're gonna be. They can only make an assumption.
Yeah.
And shout out to Shiloh and Shador, because fifth round, it doesn't matter. You got picked up. Now
Yep.
it's game time.
Yeah.
Now I try
Get to
not to
working
cuss.
again.
Now it's time to bust ass.
Yeah.
What go in that league and show them what you're made of. Belt, belt to, yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because, they try to play you, but that's okay, because, that's why I said I always love underdogs. And
Yeah.
like I said, you come from a strong family dynamic, you know who you are. Go out there and execute. Go out there and execute. Shut all their mouths up.
Yeah.
And watch how the tables turn. Watch how you go from, oh, he's not a great player. Oh, he sits in the pocket. All that nonsense they're talking. Watch how they flip. Those are going to be the same ones. Mark my word. Those are going to be the same ones that are going to be talking. Oh, and speaking your praises are going to be bigging you up. You're going to be looking back like, oh, now you know who I am.
Yeah.
And that's the best. My mother always told me that. The last laugh is the best laugh. So, yeah, get ready for your last laugh, my man, because it's coming. Like, because it's crazy. Like, bro, like, 4 wide receivers. I think total of 8 Colorado football players were drafted. I think it was like 4 wide receivers that were picked up before the guy that stormed the ball to them. That doesn't even make sense to me. Like, come on now. Like, y'all know that was boo-boo. Like, come on. Like, come on. And shout out to Travis Hunter, because, I mean, he got put up there where he needed to be. He did his thing, and Shador should have been right behind him, but it's okay. And even at the draft, he was talking about it. I'm sorry, I'm going on a little rant, but I love it.
You're good.
Even at the draft, he was like, Travis Hunter knows that, that Shador played a big role in all his accomplishments, over their career. And so he was even saying it when he got drafted, like, man, I'm trying to hurry up and be done with this, because I know my boy is coming up next, So everybody was kind of like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But shout out to them. I'm excited to see what, the season's going to look like next year, and, and the opportunities that Shador is going to have, He's definitely not going to start, but you never know, Just keep doing what you're doing, bro. We see you out here.
The Browns are boo-boo. They got like 5 quarterbacks in that quarterback room. So, hey, that pecking order can change during training camp. We'll see. We'll see. Just to tie that together, though, like, kind of what we talked about in the beginning, too, with what we wanted to do with, like, For the Love of Girls basketball, and, like, not, do we want to train these kids up and, develop skills in basketball? Of course, that's the main thing. But coming with that, you get skills in life. You know, you learn how to be professionals, not just in terms of the sporting industry in the world and stuff like that on basketball teams, but as a human being, as a person in general, how to carry yourself in certain ways. That's, I think, a big proponent of how we want to influence the next generation and these kids and stuff like that with the programs that we want to run, right? And seeing it with Dion and stuff like that, where I've seen clips and I absolutely love it, where he's having team meetings. One specifically that really stands out in my mind is, it's probably one of the old linemen, big white dude, and he was just like, hey, I just started a new business for some type of insurance corporation thing. And he was like, oh, cool. Oh, you're about to do a sales pitch? Well, come on up, practice it right here. you know, and then start giving him tips on like, hey, when you do it, work the crowd, look over here,
Mm-hmm.
look up there, look down here, look 3 levels, and just giving him tips on how to be a professional. You know, that's outside of football. That's
Yep.
nothing to do with sports. But you're
Yep.
teaching him how to be a professional, how to be a man, how to carry yourself, and that carries further than, hey, when you're on the O line, blah 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 blah. You know what
Exactly.
I mean? So
Yeah, I
doing
agree.
things like that, 100% props to Deion Sanders prime time as a coach, as a father, and everything he's been doing. And just steps like that is stuff that we try to be influential with how we are with
Absolutely.
the kids as well. You know,
Yeah, life skills, you know, you got to
100%.
teach those life skills because you know, especially like this generation of, you know, youngins that, you know, I don't want to put a name to a specific generation because they'll eat me up. But this generation of kids, you know, they're lacking those life and social skills. And,
Yeah.
you know, I tell my kids that all the time, like, you gotta know how to speak in front of people. So, you
Yeah.
know, our programs, we learn how to, you know, speak in front of each other, you know, respect each other's one mic rule, learning how to, you know, respect when somebody's talking, because those are small skill sets that we're losing, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then once you start playing sports, you know, especially now with the NIL deals and things of that nature, once you get onto those, you know, the collegiate level, and some, I think they're even bringing it down to high school level. You're gonna need
Yep.
that, you know, yeah, like, you know, there are companies that are going to want, you know, to bring you on board to, you know, give you deals and opportunities to sell things for them. And you have to be able to speak, open your mouth. You also
Yeah.
have to be able to work the room. You also have to be able to work, you know, sitting in those board meetings with these individuals and be
Yeah.
able to advocate for yourself. So, you know, basketball, sports, period. You know, I always tell the kids, like, this is your first representation of what the work life is gonna look, you
Yeah.
know, what it looks like. So, you know, it's either you learn this now while you're young, or you're gonna learn it as an adult. But either way, you're gonna have to learn these things. And so
Yeah.
the earlier you learn it, the easier it becomes. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, you know, goes back to all these kids now getting these big deals. A lot of these kids are making more money. I know for like the
Yeah.
WNBA, yeah, you're making more money than WNBA players. Like
Yeah.
Angel Reese and all them, like they're millionaires, you know, and not from, respectfully, not from the WNBA, because I don't see any millionaires coming out of the WNBA.
Yeah.
But you know, the opportunities that they're getting, you know, the brand deals, you know, they're selling themselves. It's, you know,
Yeah.
they're a brand and they're selling themselves, and you know, it's becoming very lucrative for them. So yeah, you know, tie it all together. You know, gotta, the sports will teach you that. You know, and
Let's
it's,
keep it at.
that's why it goes back to having good coaches. You know,
Yeah.
too. You know, it's not just manipulating these kids to come and play for you to make
Yeah.
millions, because you know, you can get anybody, but it's like, all right, it's a trade deal. Like, you're coming here to play for me and, you know, make me look good. And as a result from that, the outcome is you're going to get the skill sets that you need to carry you on to the next level, or to help you get and achieve whatever else that you want to achieve, because not everybody's going to make it to the NBA or the WNBA or the NFL, you know.
Yeah.
But you could be one of those, what we talked about earlier, you could be one of those people up there in the stands, you
Yeah.
know, general
Yeah.
managers. You could be one of those individuals.
Yep.
And so, you know, the opportunities are endless.
But I think one of the last few things we want to talk about for this podcast, the first podcast, WNBA. We're coming up real soon on the
That's my
WNBA. I
sport.
believe what, May 19, 17
Mm-hmm.
is the
Opening.
first day, opening
Mm-hmm.
night.
Opening
So
night.
any opening thoughts for that? I'm gonna be completely honest. I haven't watched too much WNBA in the last few years. I'm really excited this year. They got the Valkyries in the
I
Bay
already knew you
Area
were coming to
now.
say that. I already
Um,
knew.
I'm
Anything,
already a diehard now. You know what
hey,
I mean?
anything,
That's already my
anything.
team. You know what I mean? So I'm super excited to see that. I got to go to some games. You know what I'm saying? So that's something I'm looking forward to. Having a WNBA team in the Bay Area is long waited for. I think that should have been a thing
Well,
way back.
yeah, they had the Sacramento Monarchs like back when, like back in the day. This is probably way before you. You know, you still a baby.
Yeah.
But Sacramento's, I don't want to say this because you know they be getting upset, but it's not really the Bay Area, but it's close enough. It's close enough. And then so now
I
to
said like
act,
100 miles.
look, hey, you said it, not me. I'm just going off of what y'all say in the Bay. All right, but you know, like I said,
You
it's
a Bay Area resident now too? You was here for a
you're
decade.
right. You're right.
Come
You're
on,
right.
man.
Yeah. So I know for sure Sac is not part of the Bay.
There you
All
go.
right, but you know, it's close enough. So
Yeah.
we pulled them in. But having having that expansion team, the expansion of the WNBA just shows that like the WNBA is definitely growing. They're gonna be a good squad. They did the uh expansion draft, and
Yep.
they got a couple great players. So we'll see what it looks like this season. I'm excited. There's a couple of a couple weeks ago there was the WNBA draft, so we have Paige, that was the number one draft pick. She's going to Dallas, I believe. There's a girl. Her name is Dominique. I do not want to massacre her name. Malanga, and I don't know what. Oh, she's going to Seattle, and she's nice. For all those who are like, oh, people in the WNBA, they're not dunking. Oh well,
There you
we
go.
got one. All right, we
Yeah.
got one. She's coming in. Off the drop step. Yeah, man. Yeah. Off the drop step. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see, a couple of these players and just watching the grow because it's definitely growing. You know,
Yeah.
so I'm
Definitely a
excited.
huge spike from last year with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and that whole draft
Absolutely.
class coming in. Huge exposure to the WNBA. I think a lot of people started getting eyes on it. I definitely noticed it where you look at like Bleacher Report and House of Highlights and all these other Instagram pages and stuff started posting a lot more WNBA highlights and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and a
Selling
lot more
out
people had eyes
games.
on it. Yeah, selling
Yeah,
out
we've been selling out
games. Yep,
games. So,
yep.
the Fever has sold out a couple games. I know I wanted to watch them when they came out here to play against the Mystics. Oh man, those tickets were
Sold out.
crazy. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So, we're getting there. We're getting
Yeah.
there. I tell people too, like, we gotta also understand that W is still relatively new in comparison to the NBA.
Yeah.
So you got to give time, for the for the league to grow.
Yeah.
We had like a little down spike, and now I think it's picking back up. So it's gonna be exciting to see what this year, this season looks like. There were a lot of injuries last year too. I know Cameron, she plays for the Sparks. She tore her ACL. There's a lot of injuries, so a lot of these folks are going to be coming back, and they didn't really get to show off their rookie season, and so this sophomore season should look a lot better. Even Angel, she had a couple of injuries, that she had to sit out some games. So I mean, it's going to be exciting. I'm excited to see. I mean, I'm just really excited to watch the W grow.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for a couple college players. Juju, hope you're doing all right, Juju. I know you tore the ACL. I hope everything is, you're recovering smooth, and you can come back next year and do your thing. But I'm excited for the players that are coming in this year and the players that will be coming in, within the next couple years. And the league will start to look a lot different.
Yeah.
Even kind of not to get off topic, but even just watching the young, like the middle school kids and the high school kids,
Different.
the skill sets,
Is
my
crazy.
God,
Crazy.
yeah,
That's
like
what, hey, the fellas got to don't get it twisted. You hear a lot of people, especially the men, talking crap and talking down on women basketball, but they are skilled.
eat your ass up.
Ooh,
Hey,
God,
I've been watching some of these
crazy.
kids. I'm like, damn, what grade?
Different.
Sixth grade? Oh
Yeah,
my
different.
God, baby.
They start so young now. They
Yeah. And I tell a lot of my male counterparts, basketball players, coaches, I'm like, a lot of y'all have girls. Like, God was like, listen, y'all want to talk all this trash about
yeah.
female basketball?
Yeah.
Boom, we're gonna give you all girls.
Yeah.
Go there. Now what you
Yeah.
gonna do?
Yeah. Go with
Like,
some girls
now you
now.
gotta come out here and teach your baby girl, the skill
Yeah.
sets that you were gonna teach your sons. God
Yeah.
didn't give you that. He gave you girls. So go teach these babies the
Yeah.
same way you would teach, your sons, and
Yeah.
give them an opportunity, because there's opportunities out here for us.
Yeah.
There is for sure. So, it's gonna be, I'm excited.
Yeah. I am too. I am too. It's gonna be fun. I'm definitely excited to track the Valkyries. That's that.
Yeah, we'll see what they do this year. I don't
Yeah.
know.
We'll see.
We'll
We'll see. We'll
see.
see. First year. First year.
First
You know.
year, yeah, but we're definitely gonna grab a jersey for sure.
Oh, 100%. 100%. But yeah, I think for the podcast, I think we hit a lot of good topics this episode. We want to end off every episode with a tip of the week, and this is more so for in terms of development, right? For the young ones out there, for the kids, what is something that you want to give to the kids? A tip, something they can kind of latch onto.
I would say practice, practice, practice. I mean, everything you do, if you want to be better, if you want the better version of yourself, you got to get out here and work. And don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that's the biggest thing that I'm leaving with you for this week. If you feel like, oh, my bad, I can't dribble, my dribbling skills are get out, get in the gym and practice. Go ask your coach, like, coach, what do I need? You don't even have to ask your coach. You can literally, you guys have this bad boy right here in front of your face. YouTube it. YouTube things
for our tutorials.
And don't wait for a coach to teach you those things. Like, a lot of great players go out on their own and they practice. So practice, 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 practice. Practice makes better. And even people say practice makes perfect, and a lot of people don't like using that word because they don't believe that there's a such thing as perfection. But perfect is what what level you want to be in, and if you can master that, then you've mastered perfection, So if just getting the ball behind your back is what you want to accomplish, then you have perfected, putting that ball behind your back, and whatever that looks like. So practice makes better, practice makes perfect.
Yep. And adding to that, for me, my tip of the week, parents, feel free to be involved with your kids' sporting stuff. You know what I mean? You don't have to be the most skilled basketball player or whatever it is. You don't have to, like Nkem said, you don't have to know how to dribble behind your back. But you can provide the resources and find the resources for your children to be able to get them to where they want to be, help them develop the skills. You don't have to be the coach, you don't have to be the D1 player, the NBA player, and teach your children these skills, but you can provide them the resources and just help them, encourage them, and find those resources that will help them get better, You can help as well.
Also add to that, and allow your kids to fail and succeed. All right. I know we want to protect our babies. I know we're here, but we're not going to be with our kids forever. And sports is, like I said, is a great opportunity to allow them to deal with those feelings and emotions early. So the same way that you want to be their number one fan and their coach and give them the opportunities, also allow them to fail. Allow them to understand that they're not going to play every single game. They're not going to have a good game all the time. And mommy and daddy cannot come in and try to save, or protect them, when it comes to the game. That the game is played fair across the board, and allow your kids to, compete. Allow them to compete.
Yeah. Yep. There you go. Well, that's the first episode of the Hoops and Dreams podcast. I think we did a great job with this first one. I'm your host, Mark.
Nkem.
And hey, we're going to do this every week. Expect this. Check it out. And as well on this YouTube channel, you can find tutorials, basketball tips, all that good stuff. So wherever y'all listen to podcasts, whether it's YouTube, Apple, Spotify, catch us here every week, and we'll catch y'all next time.
Have a good week.